Hey guys, Nicole here with Momentum Accounting. In this video, I'm going to be using the 50-30-20 rule in application and show you how to use it if your business is not profitable and your numbers are not in line, how to quickly adjust your business so that it's scalable and profitable. So just a quick refresher on the 50-30-20 rule. Basically what it says is you want to spend no more than 50% of your revenue on your direct costs or COGS, cost of goods sold. Those all mean the same thing. And then you want to spend no more than 30% of your revenue on your overhead costs. And then that leaves you with 20% left over for net income. And reminder that your owner wages should also be included in overhead. And this is excluding any income taxes. So if you need a refresher on cost of goods sold and direct costs, go watch my 50-30-20 video that I've done on YouTube. And I'll also link it back on this video as well. So I'm going to go through an example of a business that is currently not profitable and then walk through a few scenarios on how the business can easily make a few tweaks in order to make the business more profitable. So if you're currently in this situation where you're not achieving a 20% net profit margin, or you're working with a client, you're trying to help them become more profitable, this is a really easy exercise to do. And it's pretty eye-opening. So let's jump right in. So you can see here that so this is an example of a business where we're going to assume that the business is doing $1 million in revenue. Their COGS, or direct costs, are $650,000, overhead's $300,000, so their net income is $50,000. And for this, typically what I like to do is look at the trailing 12 months. Trailing 12 is it takes into account seasonality. It takes into account if you have any weird adjustments that you do in like December, right? If you're not on accrual basis, it normalizes everything. Typically, when we work with clients, we like to be on accrual basis so that every month you're not seeing these big swings. But if you're doing this exercise for the first time, it's a good way to get an overall idea of how you did in the last 12 months. Now, if over the last few months your business has significantly changed, it's highly likely that your business today has grown, or maybe it's shrunk from where it was 11 months ago. So in that case, you may want to take the last 3 months and then annualize it. Okay. So basically, you want to just get an idea, what does our business look like on an annual basis today? So as we can see, this business is spending 65% of the revenue on COGS, 30% on overhead, and 5% is left for net income. And as we know, our target's 50-30-20. So their overhead's spot on, right? So it's not an overhead problem. And actually 99% of the time when a business isn't profitable, it's up in COGS, right? They're spending too much to deliver their services. So like in a professional service business, right? They're either pricing too low or their labor costs are too high to deliver. So we need to figure out how to reduce this number or have that same expense be able to produce more revenue to get us in line. So the first thing I want to do is go through scenario one here. And scenario one is going to be aligning our cost of goods sold with our revenue. So if we assume revenue is not going to go up, overhead's going to stay the same because it's already in line, what do we need to do with our COGS to get it in line, to get our percentages in line? So in this scenario, to make our COGS equal 50% of revenue, we need to reduce it to 500,000. So from 650,000 to 500,000, that's a reduction in COGS of 150,000. So how do we do this? That's the question. Can we actually reduce our COGS and still generate that much revenue? And maybe we can. If in a professional service environment, it could be that we're overstaffed. We have an extra person that's on the delivery team that's unutilized and they're spending, and they cost $150,000. So we may need to let that person go. Or it could be that we need to look at offshoring or using less expensive labor. Or we've had situations where we showed this to a client and they realized that they were just letting some of their employees charge whatever they wanted to overtime. And so they got a lot more strict on overtime rules, right? So as soon as we're problem aware, we can start making adjustments. And then we can see that the increase in net profitability is $150,000 a year. And then what we can do, now that we've aligned everything, we can look at then we have monthly targets to hit, right? We know that in a single month, we cannot spend more than $41,000 on COGS, $25,000 on overhead, and so on. And then our monthly revenue goal is $83,000. So now let's move on to a scenario. Let's say that we cannot generate $1 million in revenue if we cut our COGS down to 500,000. It's just not possible. So the second scenario that we want to look at is aligning revenue with our cost of goods sold. So we're going to keep our COGS at 650. And we think, and if you notice here, overhead went up to 390. So let's say, you know what? I think that our existing team can actually take on more work. It's a revenue problem, basically. We're understaffed. We are overstaffed. Our team can generate more revenue. So what if we took $90,000? Like, we think that our existing team can manage 1.3 million in revenue in this case, right? That's them maxed out. So now we can take $90,000, right? Because we went from 300,000, but if we have 1.3 in revenue and we stick with our 50, 30, 20, we have 30% of 1.3 million that we can spend on overhead. So maybe we can take $90,000 and invest it in marketing to grow our top line, right? So that's what we'd be doing in that scenario. So our revenue would go up to 1.3 million. Our COGS would stay the same. Our overhead would go up. And the end result would be $260,000 in net profitability, right? So we're trying to figure out, where are we investing our money? Is it in overhead costs or to grow the business? Or is it in COGS to deliver the services? So those are the two scenarios. And then, of course, the third scenario might be something in between. So if we go, same thing again, monthly, right? I always like to break it down monthly because then it allows you to take action immediately to figure out how much you need to cut per month or increase per month, or what your targets are. So now let's go ahead and look at the third scenario. Sorry, that should say 3. And in this case, and this one might be a little bit more realistic, right? So in this case, we are going to we think we can increase our revenue by 150,000. Let's say we decide to so we're going to increase our overhead $45,000. If we increase our overhead $45,000, we think we can generate $150,000 in new revenue. And that $45,000 could go to marketing. It could go toward a new salesperson. It could go toward an admin staff to allow the business owner to spend more time doing business development. It could go into paying somebody, an operations staff member, getting a better ops person who can go out and do upsells and sell more to your existing portfolio, right? And then let's say we're going to also at the same time reduce our cost of goods sold by 75,000. Again, could be cutting staff, could be using offshore labor instead of US labor. And so the end result of that is we're still in line, right? This still equals 50, 30, 20 if we were to do the percentages, but this is what that business model looks like. And then that's what it looks like on a monthly basis. So as you can see, by using this formula, we can play out our business model in different scenarios and then really make clear, actionable decisions based on these numbers. And as you grow and as you scale and you add on more headcount, you can live and die by these percentages. So hopefully that helps you. If you have any questions or want to reach out, feel free to check us out at momentumaccounting.com. We have a contact form there. You can get in touch with us. I'll see you in the next video.